if you look at, let's say, a drawing or a painting, and it is a very angry, contorted face, it tells you a story. But the novel or fiction tells you a story, unfolds a story like a mat that is rolled up, and you throw it on the floor and open it, and it goes until it gets to the end. It is a storytelling format that is different from the novel, is different from fine art, and is different from poetry. It is a compressed form of storytelling, goes for the meat, goes for the action. No single persona is telling you the story. The actors are the ones revealing the story to you. I am going to spend the next 2 videos discussing drama. Beautiful coffee. Hello and welcome to Dul Johnson's Creative Talks. I must apologize sincerely for having taken quite a long time missing in action. I didn't go a wall. In any case, we are back now, and I'm assuring you that we have resumed duty very completely, very fully, and we shouldn't be missing in action anymore. Thank you, and you are welcome warmly once more. If you are a new entrant to this channel, I very specially welcome you, and I ask you to please subscribe and like it. And also, it is our request that if you have questions, you should always, or even comments, put them in the box below. So this is a channel, of course, that is designed or was designed primarily to help new writers, but even including experienced writers who want to improve their work, or new writers who want to come into writing, to be able to give them the rubrics of creative writing and further, to help you develop your work. But for some time, I have been talking about the importance of writing and reading. And we have dwelt extensively on fiction writing because it is perhaps more broadly read by people than dramatic writing and poetic writing. But of course, there have been demands that I should do even more of the reviews and possibly go into dramatic writing and poetic writing. Well, I've had a thought, and I think that I am going to do, if I can, maybe a return to a few more review of novels, but for now I want us to move into dramatic writing. I think there is quite a lot to do, and I will explain the reason why I think that we really ought to do it. If I do get to poetry, then we can do probably very little, because it, like I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So it's going to be not going to take very much of our time. Now, so I need to explain something before I go into that. I'm going to use this episode as an introduction to the dramatic writing pieces that I'm going to do. And I think I'm going to do just 2 plays, and that would be sufficient. Now, I want every viewer of mine to remember, I've said this a number of times, or to understand that every literary or art form is a storytelling medium, right? That is the way it goes. Whether we're talking about fine and applied arts, whether we're talking about fiction, whether we're talking about drama, whether we're talking about poetry. They are all storytelling forms. I've explained before, but I should do it for the sake of those who are coming in for the first time, that the difference is in the way in which they tell their stories. Now, let's start with the fine and applied arts, which is not quite easily, people won't really relate to it easily as a storytelling form. But you see, if you look at, let's say, a drawing or a painting, for example, and it is the face of a person, and it is a very angry, contorted face, it tells you a story. First of all, it might be that this is reflecting a very angry person, right? What might have happened to the person? Has he been cheated by somebody? Has he lost something, lost somebody? Is he even planning to do something really nasty? Is he planning evil? If you see a face that is smiling, of course, a different story is coming into your mind. So it is a compressed way of telling stories, almost like poetry. But then there's a big story in there. If you stand and look at that painting for a long, long time, even if it's a carving, it is the same thing that will happen. You see a hollow face, for example. Is it hunger? Is it fear? So stories will well up in your head. Okay? It's not, the artist is not using words to tell you the story, but what he has presented to you is a story. It's the same thing that, you could see in other forms of the fine, even in the applied arts. Even when you look at, say, a design, some clothes that you wear, for example, you see designs on them that suggest to you, certain things. You see flowers, for example, you see colors, and so on and so forth. All of these are telling you stories. But you see, they are not telling stories the way the novel tells you a story. Right? Now, let me move to poetry, which is closer to this. Poetry, of course, we always say it is, and I said it earlier, it's not everybody's kettle of fish. There are people who are simply afraid of reading poetry because they believe that they are not going to get any meaning out of it, because of the choice of words, because of the images, and indeed, sometimes the words are chosen in such a way that they are not the ordinary day-to-day words that you read, in fiction, where even sometimes the characters are communicating with you, okay? But you don't see that in poetry very rarely. Maybe once in a while you might see like stream-side exchange. Is it by one of is it J.P. Clark or Gabriel Okara? I cannot remember, but there are poems very, very rare that can have a conversation that will, go like you experience a story in a novel. But the novel or fiction tells you a story, unfolds a story like a mat that is rolled up, and you throw it on the floor and open it, and it goes until it gets to the end, and you stretch on it. That's the way I would describe the way the novel tells a story. But what I mean by that is, you see, there is an unfolding plot and actions taking place. In fact, the way I describe it in my work is, usually to my students, is fiction is always a combination of activities and action. And so you have a long, stretch of the events and the little things that lead to one event, and then the action springs, and move from there to some other activities that gradually unfold, and we get an action that moves the story forward, and so on and so forth. That's the way the novel works. Poetry doesn't work like that. So poetry works very much like the fine and applied arts that I talk about, except that in this case we are dealing with words, and the words, of course, are creating visual and oral, which is pictures and sound images, in your mind or in your head. And these are the images that combine to help you understand and enjoy the story that is in a poem. So that when it is a love poem, for example, you will discover the kind of words that are chosen to present the pictures and the images to you, like you talking of rose flowers, you're talking of colors and stuff like that, something really beautiful, and lovely. Now, if it is something about death, for example, the kind of images that are, darkness, maybe clouds, maybe fire, all kinds of things that can dampen the spirit in you, right? Or can make you feel sad. So that is the way poetry works. Now, as I said, I am going to spend the next 2 videos discussing drama. That is the dramatic storytelling format. It is a storytelling format that is different from the novel, is different from fine art, and is different from poetry, right? In drama, you have, in the first place, the story is not told in the way that any of those other 3 modes present. No. First of all, you see, I told you about how the story in the novel unfolds, including activities that can spend time, take your time before some action and stuff. The dramatic story goes for the meat, goes for the action, because it is intended to be presented on stage for a limited time. So it is a compressed form of storytelling. And because you want to keep the audience active and alive, to be able to relate and participate as the story unfolds, you cannot afford to go into activities that are not going to engage them. They will be bored, they will be tired almost immediately. So the story for drama is abridged in such a way that the writer or the storyteller goes for the action points. So where you find in a novel, you can spend 10 hours. In a play, you are going to spend, in dramatic storytelling, or a play as we call them, everything should happen within a maximum of 1.5 hours to at most 3 hours. Most effective dramas end in 2 hours. That's the way it is. It goes. And it is action, and the characters are the ones playing out the story for you. So no narrator is telling you the story. No poet is telling you the story. No single persona is telling you the story. The actors are the ones revealing the story to you. And some of the actions are revealed to you by stage direction or mere commentary. That is the way dramatic story works. So you can see novel is a storytelling form, fine arts is a storytelling form, poetry is a storytelling form, and drama or the play is a storytelling form. But you can also see that they tell stories in very different ways. And if you really want to be a good writer, you need to study how each of these forms works. You can do that study by finding textbooks, or you can do that by engaging yourself in the events. So, for example, if there is a drama performance, you want to be a playwright, that's what we call them. You want to be a playwright, you need to visit theaters where live performances are taking place, and you would be able to learn from there. You also need to read. My advice has always been that anybody who wants to write must read. You also have to read play texts, as many as you can get. And there are millions of them in the world, right? There are great writers whose works have come over centuries, like Shakespeare and many, Marlowe, Ben Jonson, what's this Irish, there's too many. Then you come to Nigeria and you have people like Soyinka, J.P. Clark, a host of others, including yours sincerely. I've done I've done at least 2 plays. You might even want to find them, and this man who is telling me this story, how has he done his own? You could find my plays, and there are many in the market. So that's the way to learn. You read stories in order to become a storyteller. You read fictions in order to become a fiction writer. You read poetry. By the way, reading is reading all forms of writing. I'm not suggesting that simply because you want to be a playwright, you read only drama. No. You read all because, as I said at the beginning, all art forms tell stories. So, you need to know how stories are told in the first place. Okay? Once you know how stories are told, and by the way, there is one other thing I keep saying, that every good work of art, other than the fine arts, the written forms, you will discover that for your work to be beautiful, let me not say top class. I mean, there are very few who get to the top class, right? But for your work to be good, it needs to have the element of all 3. I've said that before. In one of the videos, I'm repeating it. If you want your play to be good, there has to be poetry in it, and there has to be fiction in it. If you want your fiction to be good, there has to be drama in it, and there has to be poetry in it. And if you need your poem to be good, there has to be drama in it, and there has to be fiction in it. I hope you get me clear. So whether it is drama you're writing, make sure the other 2 are in. If it is poetry, the other 2 are in. If it is fiction, the other 2 are in. I want to believe that this brief introduction has said something to you. If my presentation has been too staccato, well, you need to watch it 1-2 times, and I'm sure it will make some sense to you. Subsequently, I'm going to move into the discussion of 2 of Shakespeare's plays. And the reason I've chosen those 2 plays is because they have something in common. And you probably want to know the titles so that you might even read them ahead of me, right? So I'm going to talk about Hamlet, and I'm going to talk about Macbeth. Can you guess what they have in common? Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for being my friend on this journey that I have made today. And please don't forget to like and share. And don't forget to put your comments. Don't forget to make requests for me to explain anything that you have not understood. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.